Hello everyone. Today we'll check. I hope you have checked into the previous tutorial. It's related to how we can install this MeanJS, and now I'll concentrate on creating a new module, a CRUD module, where you can add to-do items to the application and delete the to-do items and uh, list the to-do items. Just a to-do list manipulation. Okay. So a to-do will have two specific things: the user, the to-do title, and the to-do description, and another third one, a boolean, which is a tick, which can be used as the uh, whether the to-do is done or not, just to check. Okay, so let's start it out. So this is the application that we have created up so far. So if you open up the application, you'll see this is the structure of it. And then here, if you go into these modules, you can see all the modules which is created here. I'm going to create a new module here, and I call it to-dos to maintain the naming structure. And then I'm gonna create. I'm gonna create two directories inside that one called client. Yeah, we'll have all the client stuff, which I'm going to do at last, and then I'm going to have another folder as server, which is the first thing that I'm going to do right now, and then I'm going to create some server-side codes. So let's look into the articles module. It is also having the same structure, so I'm just following the same structure as it is to make sure we are in the same coding standards. So inside the server, we are going to create another folder called config. This one will contain all the server-side configurations in order to that specific module. But here, as the configuration is we don't have any specific configurations. We are trying to just have a blank configuration file if we need to have it later on if something is required later on for that specific thing. So for the easiest thing, I'm just copying the server-side configuration file to our folder and naming it as todos.server.config, and here we go. Okay, and here we go. We have the todos config, and there's nothing much special about this. This is the module export. And then I'm gonna create another folder called controller, and then I'm gonna create another folder called models. Now things are getting excited because this is the place where we're gonna start it, and we are gonna create a mongoose model. Okay, a mongoose model in order to create the to-do database structure. So to make the development easier, I'm going to copy the articles. I'm always going to get a copy of this articles component because it is already created for us, so no need to rework the basics. So I'm going to copy it, paste it, and I'm going to name it as to-do server.model. And in this one, I'm going to rename everything, which is shit, give me a second. Okay, in this one I'm going to rename everything, which is going to be the to-dos. It's going to be to-do schema. In the to-do schema, if you can remember what I was going to add as, it will be the title. Oops, we have the title already, right? So we can use the title as well. I'll just remove this folder. So we're going to have a title, and that's going to be a string. Yeah, and it's going to be a required field. Then we're going to have a content. Ouch. This is obviously going to be a string as well, which is not required. Then we're gonna have a boolean, which is like is done, which is a type. Give me a second. Yeah. Type boolean, and that's gonna be required true, and the default value of that would be false, because we don't need to create this thing just to yeah. So we're gonna create a to-do schema and name this, export the schema inside into the Mongoose as to-do schema. Okay, so we have a model which is having this this thing, and we are gonna create a create a controller. Okay, obviously I'm gonna copy this controller again. Don't blame me for my laziness. Good programmers are always lazy, they say. To-do .server.controller, and this is a whole bunch of controller we need. Okay, we'll just go through this one by one, so that will be easier for us. Create a to-do, and when we are creating a to-do, what we are going to do is like we are going to create a to-do, and yeah, okay, I told you that we are going to export it to Mongoose as to-do, and we are going to take it back as to-do as well. So what we are going to do is like we have put to-do, and then we are going to create the object of to-do using the content in the body, which is obviously what we are going to put up. This user is something which is required for us, and to-do okay, and then when we are saving it, it's gonna get the, if it returns an error, it's gonna show an error with a 400 status. If not, it's gonna return the to-do object to the client as a resolution. And when you are trying to read it, we are actually going to read get the request to do from this list and just show it here. But if you can just see, the request.todo is not there. We have to populate it. Now to populate it, we have to use this specific method. This is a middleware. I'll show you where it is used. So here, what we're going to use is like we're gonna say load to do by ID, and to do is not. Just remove this part. It is useless. As in, yeah, it's confusing, right? So what I'm going to do is like to do find by ID. I'm going to find, if I pass an ID, it's going to find the to do as an ID, and just delete this populate because it is not required at the moment, and execute it, and return the object. Well, I'll call it to do like this, and we are going to save the to do into the request.todo, an object. And from that, if you pass it like that, it's going to come here. I'll show you how it's going to work, but then it's going to come here, and we're going to show this one right here. And when you're trying to update it, we'll find the that will return the to do there. So we can get the to do object here, save it in a variable. So just have a look. What we're going to do is like we're going to take the to do object from the database, and we are only putting up the stuff which we actually enable the specific user to update it. So in this case, it's the title and the content, which is already given. But I just want to make sure, for some weird reason, okay, I just want to make sure that the user can only edit the field is done. Other than that, he is not allowed to edit any other things. So I'm going to delete everything, and I'm going to put is done over here. Okay, so just to make sure that we have used the same variable name, yes. So we are allowing the user only to update the is done, and again it is going to do it's going to save it, and if there's an error it's going to show the error, if not it's going to show this one. And there's a method for deleting, so obviously the same thing. Okay, and there's a method for listing, and for that we're going to use todo.find sort by create. This thing we don't need, and we are going to find all the to-dos, and we are going to show them. We'll just name it as to-dos, and we are going to show them in the JSON array, and then our to-do by ID. So this is the whole thing about to-do controller. We have successfully created a controller. Now is the time to map the URL with this controller methods. In order to do that, we're going to have another method in another component called routes, and obviously I'm going to copy this routes over here. And here, just see, we are taking the controller of the articles. So we are not going to take the controller's article, but we are going to take the articles of we are going to take the controller of to do, the control that we have done, and I'm going to rename this articles as to dos. Oopsie, give me a second. Okay, to dos. Yep. So just forget this articles policy for the moment. Okay, we don't need that for the moment. So what I'm gonna do right now is like I'm gonna say if I call to-dos API/to-dos and put a get method list, go to the list method of this controller. We go there, this is the list method. Okay, so see, wait, and if you're going to post it, we are going to call if the method is post, then we're going to call the create method. The get and the post, these are the HTTP form request methods, and we have put as well. And if we specify the to do ID as well, to do with an ID, we specify it like this, and we're gonna if we put it as get, we're gonna read it. If we're gonna put it as put, we're gonna update it, and delete, we're gonna delete it. And this special part, I told you that we are gonna update the to do object before we are gonna call any of these things, right? That is where this phrase comes. Whenever this express finds that there's a to do ID, this variable, this specific parameter in any of the URL, is gonna call this method. Okay, and what that method does is like this is the method we added, we updated. It's gonna find the to do ID by the ID. Okay, and it's going this ID is specifically that parameter, and it's gonna populate it and save it in the request.to. So it's gonna work like that. So after that, whenever we are going to do anything, call any of these methods, we have this to-do object ready-made in that request parameter. So that comes handy when it comes to do the manipulations. We don't need to call this find by ID for each and every time when you're calling this. It's going to call automatically whenever we are calling any of these methods. So as the route is done, literally we are off to go. We can actually work it out. We can actually run this application and see if this really works. So to note to that, I'm gonna say okay, I'll do it like this. It's already running, I think, so it should be already this thing, but yeah, just to make ourselves. Okay, ouch, that's lots of spacing character issues. Just forget those things for the moment. That is because we are having two different spacing problems, but just give me a second, I'll fix that and come. Okay, what I literally the issues were fixed. So what I literally did was like I changed the ES link and added the intent to 2 to 4 and switch case S1 as well. So that is the whole thing that I did, and just some changes like this. You can just look into these changes and make your changes as well. And then I into this main two folders, config and modules, clicked it and put entered free format one by one. I just put it as free format code, and then again free format code, and then it's good to go. So this is the whole thing that I did so far, and the service up and running. We can just run it and see if it works. Yes, it's there. So let's go into our API. It's called to-dos. Here we go. That's a blank array. Obviously that's going to be blank because there's no data in it, but at last it's working, right? It's the URL that we given is working. So we'll just concentrate on the client as well, so at the end of the day we can have a full this thing. So what I'm going to do is, like, I'm going to copy this whole folder. Yeah, I know. I'm just going to copy the whole folder inside client as config, and I'm going to rename these two as to-dos and the other one as well. And I'll explain what are these things about. To-dos. Okay. So let's concentrate on the config, and in this one it is showing about menu items and things that we are going to add. So I'm going to put up a menu as main menu as to-dos, and the state will be to-dos. Okay, I'll get back to, okay, let's the state will be to-dos as well. That will be a drop down. This state is defined in this file. I'll get back to that. Okay, we'll go into this one and then go into that one as well. So anyhow, in this client folder, there are several files that we need to have. First file is like this specific module file. So I'll copy that one as well. I'll come one by one. Okay, to-dos, and then we should also have this config folder and all the other folders. What this main folder will do is, like, it will define the client module name. So here what I'm going to do is, like, I'm going to put TODOS, this module I'm going to register. Then whenever I'm going to create any files or any components inside this, I'm going to use that specific module for the client. And here I'm going to create to-dos state provider, and inside the state provider I'm going to create a state like to-dos, and the URL will be also /to-dos. Don't get it confused with the URL of the server. Server URL is different and the client URL is different. So we are talking, yes, it is a little bit confusing at the moment, but when it works out, it goes very good. So we are going to create a state as state to-dos, and to-do list, to-do create, to-do view, to-do edit, and things like that. So for the moment, let's concentrate on this thing in to-do list. To-do list method is state is originating from /to-dos /nothing. Okay, so if I type localhost /to-dos, then not API to-dos, just to-dos, then it should reflect on this view. So I'll change this view as to-dos, and this one also to-dos, and I'm gonna copy the whole to-do folder and paste it down here because it's gonna have a lot of views. So as I have renamed it previously, I'm gonna delete all these things, useless things, and we're gonna just concentrate on the list to-dos. Okay. Oh, let me do something. I'm not going to copy any of these things. I'm just going to let it be as it copied, but I'm just going to delete all the content of this list, this file, because it's always easy to rename than to create it from the first to-dos. Yeah. So just stick into this one. I have created a new file inside this view folder. It's a list to-dos, and I'm calling this specific this thing. I'm going to delete all these things for the moment just to keep you guys clean. I'm going to say to-dos list, and this will be using the to-dos module and blah blah blah, and this specific view. Okay. So if you go here and just put list hello, okay, and if I come here and put it as to-dos, let's display here the list hello. That is the same list hello that we have put over here. So the specific route is taking us to the specific place, right? Here you see, if you click this one, it's not showing up, which will put it up. Here, if you do this thing, and we'll put a to-dos, to-dos list, and we'll delete this one. Okay. Okay. So this will show. Ouch! Why isn't it showing up? Okay. List to-do, stop bar, to-do, state. Okay, this is the reason. Yeah, we go. List to-dos, and it's going to show the list to-dos. This state, and it's going to show list hello. This might be a little bit confusing with all these two separate menu items, but just think, two separate states, but just think it as it is abstract and it is extending from this one, and this is the parent state, and this specific thing is binded with this URL, as the URL is blank, and it is calling this specific view. Okay, this specific thing doesn't make any sense unless we show anything data into it, right? So what we are going to do is, like, we're going to show this data in a to-do list, but obviously it won't show any data because we don't have any data in our database. So what I'm going to do is, like, I'm going to create some dummy data, or else we start with the create what we call create to-dos state where we can create some new to-dos. So let's just make it like that, and I'm going to go here and create a new state which is called to-dos.create. The to-dos.create is going to have the URL as create, and it's going to call the view create, and then if I go to the config, I'm going to add a new submenu item to create it, create as to-do, and I'm going to put this one as to-dos.create, which is going to call that specific view. So here we should have two views right now, two menu items, and if I click to do what, right, you got what I'm doing right here, right? Just check the URLs as well. /create, that is the /create we are using here, and it is taking the base URLs from the parent. This is obviously from this one. So then as we have already done with this thing, next we'll just check into the place where how we can fetch the data from the server and put the data into the server. So that's where these two components come into play, services and controllers. Just check into the services component right now. I'm going to copy paste it, services, and services is actually, I'm going to rename it, and yeah, lots of renames, and I'm going to call this service as to-dos to-do service, to-do service will be there, to-do service, and the URL is to-dos. If you can remember this URL, where can you remember that? Can you remember the URL? It was in the server, in the routes. Can you remember? What I'm trying to do is here is like I'm creating a AngularJS resource, and that AngularJS resource is wrapping this URL, wrapping this resource. So wrapping the create, update, and deletes, which is defined in this route. Everything will be wrapped inside this service resource, like to-do service. This is in the client side. So the previous one was in the server side, and we are creating this service in the client side to wrap the server side URL. So we have already created to-do service for this one, and then we are going to create a controller folder. In that one, we are going to copy paste our controller, as you may have already guessed it out, and to keep it clean, I'm going to delete everything, and I'm going to rename this as to-dos controller, and the module as to-dos, and then I'm gonna take up the to-do service, inject the to-do service inside the controller. This is how you inject it. Just check the dependency injection in AngularJS, you will understand how it works. So then we have the to-dos here, and we have everything done. And what we are going to do is like I'm trying to create a new to-do object. So just to make sure that we are in the same thing, I'm going to create this as form method from on submit ng submit, yeah, ng submit. I'm going to call save method. So we don't have a save method yet. I'm going to define that save method in the controller. So I'm going to define it, scope.save is equal to a function that will be, for the moment we'll just check it out. For that will be doing certain things. We'll see how it works. So before that, I'm also going to put up a scope object called to do, and which is a blank, which is a new to do new object of to do service. Okay, and then I'm going to use that to do service object to bind the variables down here. What I'm going to do is like do class from group. I'm going to put the label as title, and the input type text, and the class from control. Then placeholder is return the title as well. So yeah, oops, yeah. So I'm going to save it and see, here it is. It's coming up, right? So just to make it a little bit good, I'm going to say h3 create new to do. Save it. Okay, yes, here we go. And I'm going to put a HR just to have some dash to make it look cleaner. Yes. So this is the title. I'm going to create another one for contents. I'm going to put yeah, this should be a text area. No type. Okay, title is not there. And like this. What is this complaining about? Okay, yeah. So now, if you can remember, we have already created an object called to do, right? So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to angular bind the model as as to do dot title, and then I'm going to bind this one ng model as to do dot content. Just making sure the right time I put it is content. Yes, it's content, and it's done. It's done. It's not required for us. And then we're gonna have a do class form actions. We should have a button type submit class button default, and this one is save, and this save and see if it works. Yes, there you go. And then when we click save, it should call the save button. Just to make sure it calls the save, then I'm going to put an alert here just to make sure that it calls it up. Nope, it's not calling it up. Expected syntax. What is this? Ouch, that is bad. Give me a second. There's some sort of problem down here. This is related to the core server views. You know why this happened? This came up because of we refactored the code with formatting this code to overcome that specific spacing issue that we were talking about previously. So that is what happened. So let me check the console. Yes. Okay, give me a second, I'll get back. Wait, we'll check it out together. So whenever you face such issues, you just go to the articles module and see what's the difference. So let's see the create form. It is having a form, and when it is article, this thing, and okay, there is no validate. And inside the articles.form, we see, okay. The real problem here is like we have created the form, and we have created the, just forget everything. Yeah, we have created the to-do controller, and we have created the views, okay? But the problem is like we didn't connect these two together. So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to go to the routes, and inside this specific create state, I'm going to save all the controller and give the controller name to do controller. Okay. So what now it's going to do is like, I need the auto reloading. Give me a second, I need to, yeah, let's start it up again so it will auto reload. What is that? To do scan controller missing semicolon. To do scan controller missing semicolon. Missing semicolon. Obviously it's missing semicolon. Yeah. So that is the good thing about these things. It's gonna give you a message for each and everything. And yeah. Here it is. The alert is calling up, right? Yeah. So what we're gonna do right now is like we're gonna say wait. Let's check the client article as well. Here we go. Yeah. So what we are going to do here is like we're going to just say we have already added the data to the scope of to do. So what I'm going to do is like scope dot to do dot save, and inside the method function to do, and I'm gonna alert the to do ID. Here we go. Now it should work. So I'm gonna say what it happens is like it's gonna This is an object of to-do service. If you can remember, the to-do service is a wrapper of the previous section, and then the magic happens. This Angular resource internal method called save. When it's called, it is going to call the save create method of the server and save the component there and take the output and show it here. Whereas the create method is called, it's in the server, and it's gonna call the route right here, and it's gonna create a post request, and this post request is going to call the method create, and this create method will create the object, and it's going to return a JSON object, and which is obviously going to be showed in this to-dos controller, and we are going to take that object and show the ID. So I'm going to put some garbage value here, and when I press enter, here's the ID, so it has saved in the database. So now to check, we'll just give it a check on the API to-dos. Here we go, we have this thing, right? And just remember that we have entered the title and the content, but we didn't type is done, but it is taken from the default value which we already defined in this module as false. Okay, oopsie. So I'm gonna open up the RoboMongo and show you the data in that one as well. So I'm gonna refresh it and show that there's a new collection called as to-dos. You click that one, there's the whole to-dos object which is shown here. So our small create method is working right now, but we have to make sure that after we click the submit, it's going to show us the specific list of to-dos. But before that, we'll create a method to show all the to-dos right here. So what you're gonna do is show class list group and a class list group item, and I'm gonna iterate it for ng repeat to all the to-do in to-dos. So we have to define certain things down here. We'll define it as well. First of all, we'll create we're going to use the same controller. So in order to do that, we have to bind the controllers together. To do that, we are going to go to the routes, and we're going to say use this specific controller for this listing as well. Oopsie, okay. And when we are using that controller, we're going to say that we are going to load we need to load all the to-dos. Now to do that, we are going to say scope to-dos is equal to to-do service query. This will query up all the to-dos. For example, let's say if you go to the service, there's a method called in this one there will be a method called inbuilt method called in this service there will be inbuilt method called query, which will call the method list get method, and that will list all the to-dos and show it down here. So we are going to call the to-dos, and then we're going to show them all in the layout. But for our information, we are using the same controller for both, for this creating and listing as well. So each time when this control is called, both of these things will work again and again. This is useless, right? Because we need this thing only when we are creating the article, and we need this one only when we are querying the article. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two methods. Okay, I'm going to say prepare create is equal to a function. That function will make the scope.todo to show up. Okay, and I'm going to create another method called scope.list, which is going to make a function to call this method, and yeah, call this, and I'm going to call these two methods in the respective views. So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to create a create another this thing over here, and ng-init is the method which is called when this event is called when we are initializing this view. So when we are initializing the create view, I am asking it to call the prepare create method, which is obviously stored in this place. And when I'm going to list this thing, list it, I'm going to say ng init list. This will call this specific method and list all the to-dos in this one. And then what I'm going to do is like I'm going to list up all these things in the to-dos, and I'm going to show the to-do title and say it like this. And here we go. Here it is. Wait, let's make it clear. H3 list to-dos. Oops. Okay. So we have this to do over here, which is shown here. Okay, we'll try to add another this thing. Buy bread. Buy it now. Sale. Okay. Then I'm gonna add another thing. Buy talk to and about the business. I'll just say this one as well. Oops, something went wrong. Setup on. To-dos already exist. Duplicate to. Okay. But we're going. What's the problem is like when we have created a to-do, the data is already saved in that one, and we are not clearing it up for the next call. So what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna do something like this. To-do is equal to new, or else I'm just gonna call scope dot prepare create. Okay, so that will just prepare create another thing, another object. So I won't have the ID again. So call JSON about the business, save it, okay, and call and about the milk, and say okay. So we should have plenty of to-dos right now. Just for you to check. Yeah, we have plenty of to-dos. And when you list the to-dos, it will show up all the to-dos right here. Okay. And we have one more thing to do. We are just showing up the titles down here, and if we click it, it needs to show up the detail view. So in order to do that, we're gonna create another view called view to-dos. This view to-dos, what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna show show all the objects strong. I'm gonna type the title to do dot title, and then okay, before that we'll come from the basics. Okay, so we'll go to the routes. We'll create a new state which is called to-dos.view, that will show the to-do ID, and to-dos controller I'm going to call the view to-dos. Yeah, And now in the to-dos controller, and this one, in this specific situation, what I'm going to do is like I'm going to create another, I'm going to create a resolve method. Okay, you can just look into these things in this one. What I'm going to do is like I'm going to call a resolve method, and yeah, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? No. As I'm going to directly use this specific way, I'm going to skip that thing. Articles, add, create, view, delete. No, it is not there. Okay. What I'm going to do is like I'm going to create a view. That one. Give me a second. Yeah, sorry for the delay. What I was going to do is that I'm going to create a new view called to-dos view, and I'm going to create a new state called to-dos.view and bind to that one. So what's going to happen is like I'm going to call this specific view. I'm going to create a new view actually to do this. It's called view to-dos. And in that one, I'm going to say view to-dos controller. And I'm going to use this specific controller in the routes. So view controller will use the view, this to-dos.controller, this thing. And in the view controller, we're going to say, we're going to load the to-do, and the to-do will be from to-do service and taking all the parameters from the state param. State params is the parameters that is used when we are calling the state. That is the to-do ID. So we'll have the to-do ID over there. So we're going to pass that one to the. I'll just close this. We're going to pass that to the to-do service, and if you check the to-do service, where's that service? If you take the to-do service, it is taking the to-do's ID from the ID, and then it is going to use the information to fetch the data. So let's check into this thing, and it's gonna load the to-do service and to-do into this one. So I'm gonna show it here. Div strong. I'm gonna say to-do.title, and then italic to-do.this content. Br, and I'm gonna say is done to do dot is done. We'll check into this later in a while, but this is what I'm gonna show. And then I'm gonna go to the list module and say when someone clicks this one, okay, ng.click, sorry, when someone clicks this one, I'm gonna say ui.sr data, how to do that, data.ui sref. Okay, I'm gonna call the view to-dos.view with the parameters to-do ID given as to-do.id. So this will be, so create, here we go. You saw this one? It's gonna call this method and call the view to-dos. But due to some problems, I'm not too sure why it's not coming up. But it's not. Okay, I got the point. But get. So I'm gonna say yes. when we are clicking this thing, it's gonna go to this method, go to this controller, and it is going to let me put it in a nicer way. H6, H3, and it's gonna be div. It's gonna be a HR. Is done. Control task B. Yes. Here we go. There's a call JSON about and is done is false. So then we can go to the list and check each and every uh, item for our listing. Then one last thing, when you are going to create a new to-do. If you type something and enter, it's going to show up something and it's not going to do anything, right? So in order to make, if you type something, click save, it should end up in this specific view page. In order to do that, what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to go to this controller, and after, when I'm doing this alert, what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to say state go to let me check how we can do this thing. So what I'm gonna do is like, okay, I just checked into the other module how it works. So what I'm gonna do is like, I'm gonna say send the path to go without doing without alerting anything. Go to to-dos. Take the ID which is shown in this in the alert and pass it to location.path and make it change to this one. So let's see how it works. Okay, now we are done. That's cool. So if you're going to create something, call mom, save it. It comes to save now, and we can do it like that. So you can do the remove like this as well. Just it's a matter of calling the $marks remove in this place. So that's about it for this to-do list. Unfortunately, I couldn't be able to show you the way of updating and deleting it at this tutorial. Maybe I'll come up with that one in the next coming up tutorials. Okay, have a nice day. Bye.